Hey, what's up guys? Coach Leanne here. Today we're going to be talking about your perfect plank position. So we want to talk about how to get into your plank, how to make sure that we're not putting any pressure on our back, make sure that we're using all the correct muscles, and to talk about exactly what it is that your plank should look like. So stay tuned and I'll show you. Okay, so when we're talking about our plank, we have a lot of different pieces that we want to talk about. So the first thing that we want to make sure that we're doing is having our hands in the correct position. So hands should be shoulder width, right underneath the chest, rather than out in front of us. We don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on our shoulders. So when we're up in this position, we start to kind of let the shoulders creep up into the neck. We want to make sure we're staying engaged and everything is locked in. And the easiest way to do that is to keep everything in this position. One thing that we can do to help that is to corkscrew the elbows in. So if you look at the crooks of my elbows, they're in front of me. So if I were to bend my elbow, it comes back behind me. So what that does, when you're in this position and you corkscrew, those shoulders come back, the lats tighten up, then everything is nice and tight and engaged. The next piece of this that we want to talk about is your hip tuck. So your straight position, eyes are right in front of your fingertips, your head is nice and neutral. There should be a straight line from your head to your heels. So that means that your hips are nice and neutral, your hips aren't dipping, your butt's not up in the air, nice and neutral, everything in that nice straight line. However, even though technically this is still a straight line from my head to my heels and my hips are still technically neutral, my low back is not neutral. So what we want to do is think about squeezing the butt cheeks and tuck underneath so your low back is nice and flat, okay? The next piece that we want to talk about is any kind of wrist or shoulder issues. So if your wrists are bothering you, you have a couple things you can try. The first thing you can do is to try to spread your fingers out nice and wide so we're distributing the weight a little bit better. We can also bring it down onto the elbows, still staying in that nice neutral position. Just make sure that when we're in our low plank, hands never come together. We want to make sure that they stay apart and your eyes are right between your palms. And the other thing that we can do if we really want to stay up in our high plank is to grab onto a set of dumbbells. So if we have our dumbbells here, again, hand shoulder width, grab it on, and then we're here. So a nice easy way to lock yourself into position. So what that does is to take your wrist out of this super bent 90-degree position and help you to keep it a little bit more neutral. If you're comfortable on your fist and you want to hold your plank there, same idea. Some people find a little bit too much pressure on the knuckles to be uncomfortable. So easiest way to remedy that is to just grab onto your dumbbells. If we just need to make the entire plank position a little bit easier, we're just going to drop it onto the knees, whether in your low plank or in your high plank. But keep in mind that when you're on your knees, your toes still stay in the ground. So straight line from your head to your knees, but your toes aren't flying up in the air. So when my feet come up, automatically my low back sinks back into the ground. Tuck in the hips, glutes are tight, toes are in. That way we keep everything nice and engaged. So the next thing I want to do is just show you guys really quick how to work on your hip tuck from a standing position. Okay, so your hip tuck. A lot of times we have trouble figuring it out exactly when we're in your plank. So if you do it while you're standing up, much easier to grasp. So the hip tuck starts here. So when your back is in that arched position, this is where you are. Tuck your hips forward, squeeze your butt cheeks, almost like you're folding your butt underneath your hips and you're bringing your hip bones up. So even if you just need to stand here and practice this, it feels a little bit awkward at first, especially if you're just kind of walking around doing it in front of people, but that's the easiest way for you to figure out how to go from that arched position to squeeze your butt cheeks and tuck your hips in underneath. So you can go ahead and just practice that. If you guys have any questions on how to do your perfect plank, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, perfect.